Our big story this week, viewers. In a sweeping change to US immigration policy, children of H-1B and other temporary visa holders may no longer automatically gain US citizenship. This move puts millions in limbo, leaving families with uncertain futures. The temporary visa holders like H-1B, H-4, L and F now face new restrictions, affecting access to critical resources, whether it's education, financial aid, or even basic rights. But there's a silver lining, viewers, in all of this, which is that rule won't impact those already born in the US, offering a small sense of relief. Even those born till the 19th of February 2025 will be able to meet that threshold limit. But the stakes? Well, there are over 1 million Indians that are currently waiting for their green cards. And the clock is ticking. With over 4.8 million Indian Americans in the US, this policy has the potential to reshape the future for generations to come going forward. Meanwhile, as trade tensions mount between India and the US, the question of tariffs is at the forefront. Bilateral trade in the 2023-24 fiscal year between India and the US touched $120 billion, with US accounting for 18% of India's exports. India runs a trade surplus against USA. But that could all change if the US decides to pause tariffs on Indian goods, threatening key sectors, whether it's IT, pharmaceuticals, and others. So what's India's strategy in the face of these potential tariff hikes? Well, New Delhi will embrace possibly a multifaceted response. One that doesn't escalate to a full trade war, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that we bend backwards to accommodate every demand of Donald Trump. Instead, India will likely increase its imports from the US for specific sectors. If needed, will probably retaliate with its own set of tariffs on particular sectors. Like in 2018, we did that on steel. New Delhi could also look to hike imports in sectors like energy, aerospace, or even medical devices, sectors that are very important to the Trump administration. Remember, retaliatory tariffs may be focused on areas like agricultural products, motorcycles, where Trump has already spoken about, like the Harley-Davidson motorcycles he's spoken about. Trade ties reflect counter tariffs on almonds and apples from the US were imposed when trade disputes flared up the last time around. He could probably do something similar as well. But in this give and take, are we going to be able to thrash out a deal? I spoke with C. Raja Mohan on my podcast. Listen in to what he said.
India's traditional style has been the other way. We announce a principle, and after that we don't have any flexibility. And that's why, despite India's growth of trade, in the WTO, everywhere India is seen with great suspicion, because we don't know when to stop bargaining and when to close a deal.
It is this suspicion that we have to end, viewers. Cut a deal if there's possibility to do so. But let me tell you, retaliation is not the only card that we have. We can even utilize this opportunity. It could be once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Why? There will be supply chain disruptions, because what India is going to face is going to be very small compared to what China is going to face. Because remember, China is a bigger threat for tariffs for Trump, along with Mexico and Canada, the two countries that he named on day one. Because with India, there is room for negotiations, not with some of these other countries. And the one area India needs to be cautious about is a possible levy on services, because that is one area where we run a services surplus against the US, one of the few countries to do so. And IT exports is probably going to be the biggest target for Donald Trump's administration when it comes to handling US-India trade ties.